What is going on, everyone? My name's Boyd and I'm back with some more Age Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the top of the map in the blue color, playing as Odin. His name is GrandMonster. His opponent today in the red color playing as Zeus. His name is Swissboy. The map is Oasis. And this is a best of 3 for the Challengers League between these two players. Both players, I think, have lost their first game, so it's going to be really good for them to get that first win in the Champions League. It's really hard to come by wins in this league because every single player in the league, in the tournament, are exceptionally good, very strong players. Swissboy, one of those players who's been around for quite a while, plays some incredibly strong Age Mythology, plays a myriad of different gods. And GrandMonster, one of those players who started on Nilla, on the original Age Mythology, playing all sorts of different gods, but coming over onto the Titans and becoming an Odin one-trick, which is funny, but yes, that's how he's that's what he's gone with here as his transition into the Titans. It's always difficult for Nilla players to go to the Titans versus vice versa because the game has so much more diversity in it in the Titans compared to vanilla, or just more stuff in it, whereas vanilla is just simply like the Titans but with some restrictions. So if you play the Titans, you can sort of play vanilla at a relatively high level, but if you play vanilla, it's tough to go to the Titans. However, you are, generally speaking, those vanilla players who put in a good amount of effort can get very strong at this game. For example, Berserker was a vanilla player who came over to the Titans and dominated the ladder for a while there, playing a lot of games with Army Corps and back in the day, and becoming a really strong player in his own right. So we got GrandMonster here, Odin. We got Swissboy, Zeus, Oasis. Interesting map in this matchup for 2 reasons. One, centaurs are not that good here because of this middle palm tree here. If your opponent does go through Hermes, you just throw up a wall here and you throw up a wall over here, and you are completely safe from those centaurs. I guess you have to throw up a wall over here as well. So it's very few amount of walls to get yourself safe from those centaur raids, which can be very potent against Odin. All that being said, that does not mean that Odin is necessarily strong on this map compared to Zeus. I think Zeus is going to be completely fine here if you play the Zeus to a high level. And I think you also have some options here to go Athena. And it's more of a wood-based Athena, more of an archer-based Athena, but you definitely get the hoplite out as well. You move forward and you try and pressure this location here and send a villager over the other side and try and get that wall up over the other side of the map to cut off this gold mine while you're getting map control and prevent your opponent from running in onto you. So, for example, a pretty crazy Athena play here for Zeus on this map could be move into this location here, put your barracks and your archery range down at 4 minutes and 15, 4 minutes and 30 seconds here, and send another villager over to this side to wall this off and send your Jason and your Odysseus immediately up onto this hunt here, control this location here, and then push in, and you could really hurt your opponent. Not only that, the walls over here and then the buildings over here plus a wall would mean that your opponent can't raid your home base back. You've got your bolt for the Valkyrie, and it could be really strong. However, we are seeing Swissboy going for the standard Hermes here. He's got 3 villagers on favor, so he is going for Centaur. So we'll see what GrandMonster's going to come up with, and he is throwing down the first wall here. It's a bit of a safe wall. Throwing it up here, he can also throw the wall here. And again, this is probably still only 3 walls if he comes over and he walls off this. That does mean that this hunt's going to be difficult for him to grab. And we'll see if Swissboy is going to be able to get out everything that he wants to get out here. It's looking like 8 villagers on wood, 2 villagers on gold. He should be able to get out an immediate Odysseus. The Jason is going to be picking up this relic, which is the canopic jar of Imseti. Going to give him some very speedily produced hoplite. Up here in this corner here, we do have the Staff of Dionysus, which is again a very strong relic, especially for all of these goats here. And then on top of that, the farms become very, very useful. Then we do see the Catastropus immediately bolting that Valkyrie before anything else happens. The village is going to be moving over onto this location here, and we haven't seen an immediate Odysseus here, which it's a bit of a question mark in my opinion. See an immediate Sylvan Lore as well. I much prefer, if we check out his resources here, Swissboy's got 100 wood in the bank. Cut this centaur here, build the Odysseus. You can grab that second centaur, or cut the Sylvan Lore for a little bit here, and come up here and hit this location, because it's the only spot here that GrandMonster has to worry about. The only spot that Swissboy really can push off at this point in the game. You've bolted the Valkyrie, that means your upper myth unit, your 2 heroes should be able to deal with anything that your opponent has here. And then the 2 Centaur come in and they can pick off villages with the help of the Odysseus as well. So then Sylvan Lore comes in by the time you're over here, because you can see the Centaur marching up here already does get the Sylvan Lore here, but with only one of them, the Herso will be able to chase them around, and we do see the Catastropus getting picked off here. One thing that happens when you do go for this Hermes style here is you really delay unit production. If we check out the population here right now, it's going to be 29 population for Swissboy to 44 population for GrandMonster. So it's a really big, or a really difficult, or really slow, I guess that's probably the term I'm looking for. It's a really slow build. You start your army really slow. It becomes very, very strong. The Centaurs, while they're only worth 3 population, they're kind of worth a little bit more in terms of value, so it's closer than you think. At least at the start of the game, as the upgrades start coming in, the Centaur stops becoming as useful. But in the early stages of the game, you can see it's sitting with 34 pierce armor, 30 hack armor, has 275 HP and 12 damage. So it is quite a bit better than the Hippocon in comparison. So it's a little bit the population count here is a little bit deceiving, if you will. You see this Rain Cavalry going to get away with 7 HP here. We are chasing that down with this Hippocon. If GrandMonster cues that back to his home base, it will get that HP back with the Odin bonus. Now Swissboy going to be moving out with these units. I would much prefer to see him just, at this point, just raiding with these Centaur and moving in and trying to hit these villages here, or something of that nature, running around with them with these armies, slowing them down just a little bit too much. We do see the Raiding Cavalry now moving out. There's not a lot that he can attack though. Swissboy's only got 6 of these goat here as well. He's already on chicken, so he will have to go to farms at some point here. He has some berries out here, and I would love to see a relatively early second town center on the back of this push here, but it's probably a little bit too early for that kind of thing, considering he's built all of these Hippocon as well. The Centaur are going to be able to pick off a Raiding Cavalry here, that while the Herso coming in here to try and pick off these Centaur, that's going to force these units back, which means that these Raiding Cavalry may be able to get a small pick off here on the Hippocon. Looks like GrandMonster does not want to go for that one, just going to play very defensively here. He knows his win condition. The win condition here for Odin is simply to get to the Heroic Age 3 Skadi without taking too much damage. If you do that, you get a Frost, which does burn the Ceasefire if you need it. On top of that, you get Frost Giants, which completely counter these Centaur. The Centaur really don't do a lot of damage to them, and they can freeze them in place. And if they get freeze in place and you have a couple of Herso, they will die very, very fast. So that's kind of what he's going for. He's managed to eat every single little bit of this hunt, so that's exactly what GrandMonster has wanted. Going to be moving back onto his goat now. He has husbandry, does not have hand axe, has a bunch of gatherers on this gold mine though, which is very peculiar indeed as he's running away. I wonder if that's just a resource kind of thing. Couldn't afford to build the dwells because he's building so many Raiding Cavalry, for example. Now they're moving in, going to be able to pick off some of these villages. We did see Forest Fire already used, so he's not going to be able to hit too much here. Watchtowers has already gone up, but there is no crenellations. These villages are going to have to run into this watchtower here, and they're just moving a little bit slow, but one Raiding Cavalry did get picked off, and now the path blockage here is absolutely huge. Some Hippocon coming back over here. We do have a military barracks now spamming out those hoplites, and now the Raiding Cavalry are going to be turning their attention over onto some of those Hippocons, which will be retreating away. Meanwhile, while this is all going on, the town center is going going up for free. If Swissboy had noticed this, he would be able to just move in and hit this while this raid's going on, because GrandMonster is completely out of position. This army here will do absolute wonders against GrandMonster's army here with a little bit of micro. We do see the Hippocon coming in to pick off those raiding cavalry. The town center is getting very, very close to going up, and now Jason moving in. This is just the timing here is just not working out just now, and that's going to force Swissboy out of here as that town center does get up. That's absolutely huge for GrandMonster right now, getting up that town center so early without any sort of worries. Now, if he can throw up a wall over here, he will be able to get access to this large gold mine and kind of be able to defend that one, but it will be actually kind of difficult if Swissboy is in any decent situation, which is looking like he is. 80 population here. We do see the dwarves and the villagers making their way over onto this gold mine. So we'll see if he can push on this gold mine. Looks like he's not wanting to do so. He's going for the town center, going for a little bit of a more boomy approach here. It's not an awful idea, but I do think that given the nature of this matchup where you want to be putting on some pressure and not just allowing Odin to boom here, you gotta attack this second gold mine at about the 10-minute mark. If the Norse player has not grabbed the second town center, you can expect their gold mine to be expired by about the 10-minute mark, which is exactly where it happened here. Still GrandMonster with 4 gatherers on this location. He's going to swap those off at some point. You can just see how many raiding cavalry are here right now for GrandMonster. Swissboy's army nowhere near that level at all, and he's actually forgetting some houses here, trying to build them up to keep his units producing. Gonna have to build some farms fairly soon as well. We do see Swissboy with a little bit of wood in the back, but it's going to be a tough one for him here to keep producing everything. He does have 4 berry bush, but that's really only 400 food, which is not that much considering the majority or every single part of his army right now is food based. Now GrandMonster going to be retreating away from this location as Swissboy is positioned here. We do see a couple of Hippocon raids coming and going to hit this gold mine. But it's very dangerous to be raiding a mobile race such or civilization such as Odin or such as Norse with these slow Hippocon. Much better to be raiding with these Centaur if you can, just because these only have 5.5 speed compared to the medium raiders, which have 6.6 speed. They've actually also got thundering hooves to make them run incredibly fast. And now we do see the raiders run straight past that villager. GrandMonster not paying attention to that one as it comes up to wall this off, and he's going to try and bash through this gate and hit another raid here. We see the villagers coming over here, going to try and repair this one up while the army is coming over here to greet these raiding cavalry that are coming over to push in. We do see Skadi is coming through as well right now for GrandMonster, so it's an incredibly strong timing here. 2 town centers already going up through Skadi, looking like GrandMonster wants to get his 3rd town center as well. The army of Swissboy now coming over to defend this as GrandMonster is going to be retreating away. Villagers now moving up onto this gold mine. This could be big with a with the threat of frost. Swissboy is not going to want to ceasefire here to grab this town center. So if this attack comes, which is looking like it's going to, with the Ravens spotting it, it's just going to be difficult for Swissboy to hold on to, because he can't ceasefire this. You can possibly get away with it as long as you stay underneath your town center. The frost comes in, may be able to hold on after that, but the army is now coming in, and I can imagine that immediate he's actually not getting it, but immediate heavy cavalry could be coming through. The raiders are now running in here trying to surround these units. Swissboy going to be fighting this one, but this is not a winning fight for him at all. We see the raiders running straight onto this town center here, or I should say the settlement. They're preventing that one. Villagers getting pulled away right now. More army here from GrandMonster piling in. Hillfort trying to get up right now. These raiders are on the back, picking off some of these villagers who are trying to fight back as this is going on. These Centaur have not been touched just yet by the Hersir. That's a micro mistake right there from GrandMonster. Looks like the villagers are trying to get back in here to get this town center up. More units should be streaming in though for GrandMonster. It's currently 115 population to 130 population. So this is a big win right now for Swissboy as he's fighting in this position here. Farms have gotten up now for Swissboy. He's got plow, he's got husbandry, so he's in a decent position where that's concerned. But now we've got some Jarls coming out, Frost Giant coming out as well. These upgraded units, there are no upgrades on Swissboy's army, I should say, and this Frost Giant is trying to push through, and the Odysseus not going to be targeting him just yet, as both players' armies just seem to be face planting into each other for the time being. And these villagers still trying to get this settlement up, but it's just not going to be going up for the time being, as Swissboy looks like he's losing every single one of these villages, which is absolutely huge right now for Swissboy, who's also sitting on 2 town centers, getting very far ahead. Well, not far ahead in the economy, just getting more villages, more and more villages, which is scary when you're facing down the barrel of a Ragnarok incoming. But I know GrandMonster does not generally like to go for those early Ragnaroks, so nothing too much to worry about there in regards to that. But we do see the Frost Giant with 6 HP just about to get picked off there. 3 HP now, actually, but still staying alive. And Swissboy has to retreat for the time being. He's actually got a lot of wood in the bank, trying to spam out those farms everywhere, basically, and a lot of just not much food in the bank. And he's only got 2 military buildings still. That's a big mistake right there for Swissboy. You can see he's not going to be able to repopulate his army very fast at all. There's more military buildings coming down compared to GrandMonster, who's got 4 military, 5 military, 6 military buildings right now. Not all of them producing, but he does have 6 of them. So his army is just coming back much faster, which is going to allow him to grab this town center. He can even frost at this point if he wants to just secure it, force the ceasefire out, or even there might be no ceasefire, but that doesn't matter. The Frost Giant did get picked off, the low HP one there, before being able to use its special attack there. Going to be retreating back through this gate and having a grand old time. You do see the granary gets picked off and the Hippocon gets frozen yet again. So these Frost Giants just getting those easy trades, but choosing not to kill the Hippocon. Not sure about that one. There's actually 2 units there frozen, but you know, whatever. I'm just trying to try and bash through this this gate here, and these throwing axemen coming in the back of this army to pick off those hoplite as well. Frost Giants just doing so much to the enemy army right now, making them completely immobile, and it's looking like he's still trying to push in here. But GrandMonster now getting his 4th town center in the back, going to go absolutely out of control with the booming. The Odysseus in the back trying to lay siege to this Frost Giant here, and there's the ceasefire for Swissboy, but that does mean that a frost can come out here. It also means that GrandMonster can start spamming down buildings here in this location. We do see there's the longhouse coming up for GrandMonster, going to be trying to fill up this location here. We've even got some longhouses coming up in the top of the map. And that's going to be an issue for this gold mine a little bit later. And we have to really note that GrandMonster's got basically full control of this map. We do see the villagers now coming over here, going to try and throw up a wall along this location here to prevent GrandMonster from coming in, but he's already sort of here, making some Ulfsark as well. We've got bronze shields, we've got irrigation coming through, so going for those technological upgrades, those economic upgrades first, plus the bronze shield while he's about to be fighting underneath all of this pierce fire from buildings. A very smart idea there, just to keep the units sort of in front of that one. Still no crenellations to pick off those cavalry here, and the population is currently 130 for Swissboy to 145 of GrandMonster, so a big advantage for GrandMonster right now. And the big problem for Swissboy is going to be a lot of these farms not being occupied. He's got a little bit of resource in the bank, but these Frost Giants is going to take so much damage. Potentially the Centaurs could help to pick those off, because they do have a big bonus against myth units, but with the high pierce armor that they have, it's maybe not the best idea. There's the 4th town center coming in for GrandMonster, so he's going to start spamming out villages twice as fast as what Swissboy is doing. So every 15 seconds, 2 more villages for GrandMonster than Swissboy's. And we are seeing GrandMonster just absolutely plow through this Zeus base here, and all of these units getting picked off left, right, and center. Odysseus in the back still doing quite a bit of damage here, but he needs to get out the Jason if he wants to pick it off. Does not do that. Instead decides to tap out. GG, well played by GrandMonster here with the raid starting to come now onto this gold mine, those heavy Ulsark. And he actually got quite a few villager pickoffs during that fight there. So really nice showing there from GrandMonster in the start here. Able to basically defend against that, an early aggression with a really nice raid and then a sneaky timing behind that to get the town center up, allowing him to sort of secure this location a little bit easier. Swissboy just not able to put that early pressure on that you need to do with Zeus to slow down the Odin. And even though he had the centaurs, he just was not active with them at all. And basically, I think the base layout that GrandMonster did was really nice. But I do think that the centaur could have come in this location here and got a couple of pickoffs or a couple of villager kills, and then just left out this location as well, because the walls here and the buildings, not really enough to stop the centaurs from coming in. There were villagers chopping down these trees as well, so lots of opportunities to raid for Swissboy that were missed here, and GrandMonster just kind of got to do whatever he want. Really nice heroic age timing as well off of the two town centers. So GG, well played by GrandMonster. We'll move on to game number 2 really shortly. If you were enjoying the content, please consider hitting the follow button on the Twitch or the subscribe button on the YouTubes, and I'll see you guys in the next game.